Good evening and welcome into Tennessee Volunteers live on the Voice of College Football Network. Tucker Harlan and Jordan Bankley with you on this Monday. Happy to have you guys along with us here on the Voice of College Football. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football. We are live every Monday at this time, 8 Eastern Time. Happy to have you guys along with us. And especially if you're hate watching from the other side at Alabama this week, we especially appreciate that. As a matter of fact, we have a treat for you during the show. Pretty loaded show this week. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened this past weekend and then get into some of the other action from the past weekend. And then we're going to talk to our buddy Jackson Johnson from the Alabama channel here on the Voice of College Football Network. So really happy to have him on the show and get his insight into this rivalry, the third Saturday of October. Crazy that we're already here, over halfway through football season already. But that's just how football season is. You fly through it really quickly. So we got all that for you guys. Hope you all had a great weekend, by the way. I know I had a pretty nice weekend. Vols won, Titans fired Brian Callahan. Can't complain. What about you, Jordan?
Pretty good. I mean, Tennessee won their game. I got to watch some good college football this weekend. One of my buddies from out of state, he was in town. He had this nice Airbnb for his job. So he invited me and a couple of my other friends over, and that was a lot of fun. We watched some football, played some games and stuff, and it was a good time.
Absolutely. That's a fun weekend right there. Gotta enjoy it before you get stuck in the fall weddings.
Yeah.
A little foreshadowing right there. One of us is stuck in a fall wedding. I won't say who, but good weekends all around for us. It sounded like good weekend for Tennessee overall. I'd say against Arkansas, you get it done 34-31. Win's a win. We said it with the Mississippi State game. We're going to say it again with Arkansas. Winning fixes everything. I've said it way too much now over the course of these shows. And I don't want to talk too much about the game from this past weekend just because we already spent an entire show on it yesterday in our post-game show. So just wanted to ask you, Jordan, what are your takeaways from this past weekend against Arkansas, good or bad takeaways?
Well, I think almost every Tennessee fan is in agreement with this. My biggest takeaway is Tennessee's defense is quite bad outside of pass rush and getting some turnovers. I mean, somehow Tennessee's been getting a couple of turnovers each and every game, but outside of that, I mean, you can look at the stats. I mean, Tennessee's defense is quite bad right now. Like I'm looking, number 2 in defensive touchdowns. That's good. Number 1 sacks, top 5 in tackles for loss. But besides that, I mean, Tennessee's lucky to be in the top 100 in pretty much every single category. Red zone defense towards the last of the country. Total defense, Tennessee's number 100. It is pretty bad. That's my biggest takeaway. But I also think that Tennessee's rushing attack finally took a step up this game. I think Deshaun Bishop played phenomenally well. And there's some exciting news that came out today that we can talk about later as far as Bishop goes. But I'll say those are my biggest takeaways. What were yours?
Yeah, so I narrowed mine down to 6, and not all of these are takeaways, just more important things to get out of this win over Arkansas. Number 1, just the fact that you beat Arkansas, I think is important just because there's some, I don't want to say historical significance to it, but I would be wrong to say that this win did not go a long way with the Tennessee football program because you haven't beaten them since 2007. Let's just call that like it is. Multiple places where Arkansas caught Tennessee in inopportune times over the past few years have led to these losses to Arkansas. And Tennessee doesn't play Arkansas every year, so that's a part of it. And just not having the opportunities to beat up on, say, the Chad Morris teams or the bookends of the Brett Bielema era, the John L. Smith team. I haven't been able to play many of those teams. So that was the first one that I had. And then I had, 3 more positives that I took away. The rushing attack, like you mentioned, Jordan, very good. 264. That is a season high in rush yards. And you figured you could do it against a team like Arkansas, and you were able to this time around. And it was something that I mentioned after the Mississippi State game. I wanted to see Tennessee run the ball more because you knew they could run the ball against Mississippi State, but they, for some reason, opted not to. That was not the case this time around. Obviously, Joey Aguilar's performance through the air is not quite as productive as it has been in the past, but that's because you also had 40 rushing attempts to 25 pass attempts. So a little bit of a difference there in choice of play calling there by this team. But overall, no, I think it was the right idea just because you had a very good day on the ground and you figured you could have a good day on the ground. So that was good for Tennessee. Turnover free and sack free day for Tennessee on offense. It's been a sack free year for the most part for Tennessee on offense. It gave up some to Mississippi State down in Starkville. I know there was technically one in real time against UAB. There was the sack they gave up with Merklinger in the game, and then there was the grounding penalty to Georgia that was also called a sack as well. So good day for them there. And of course, not committing any turnovers is huge as well, whether that's lucky or unlucky, because Tennessee has had plenty of unlucky turnovers, but unlucky turnovers are still turnovers, and they can lead to bad results, as we saw in the Mississippi State game. So good to be clean on that side of the ball. And then defensively, I'll say this too as a positive. You are generating negative plays. Did the math earlier today. You're averaging, I think, a little over 3 sacks a game and a little over 7 TFLs a game, which is good. But here's the crazy thing: ETSU and UAB are the games where you've seen the lower production from Tennessee in that department. You look at it in SEC play; it's closer to what you saw this Saturday: 5 sacks, 9 TFLs, which is very active from this defensive front. So they've been able to do that in SEC play, and that's going to be big this weekend if they're going to want to get a win at Alabama. Just getting after the pass rush, getting after Ty Simpson will be important. But this game is not without its negatives, and really there's only 2 that come to mind. And Jordan, you mentioned one already. Defensively, this team has not been good. The passing defense, they had to throw the ball. Arkansas had to throw the ball to get back into the game late. So I do think that's a little bit of it. And then just not being able to get pressure in those situations, calling off the dogs a little bit, I think is a little bit of a questionable decision there on defense. All in all, the run defense has not been good this year. You look in SEC play, Tennessee's the fewest amount of yards Tennessee has allowed in SEC play on the ground is actually to Georgia with 198. So that's just shy of 200. State goes a little over 200. This Saturday, by far the worst with 240 given up to Arkansas. Now, I will counter by saying this. Bobby Petrino is a very confident, very dangerous play caller on the other side. So you do have to keep that in mind. And Taylen Green, while he is very turnover prone, as we've seen Saturday and in other weekends, just watching this Arkansas team over the past 2 seasons, he is a very potent producer of offense for that team as well. And you saw him do it against Tennessee. You knew he could do it because they've scored no fewer than 31 points in any of their road games this season. Both the losses to Memphis and Ole Miss, they went for 31 and 35. So they've been able to do good stuff on offense on the road. It's not as if Tennessee is just absolutely terrible there. They have produced as well. So, but I think it is a little frustrating that, you had, what's his name? Mike Washington run his mouth the entire week. That was annoying. So not good on the run. And then the other problem that I come away from this game with is just the situational awareness from this coaching staff. And I don't want to turn this into a session where we just, rip on the coaching staff for letting Arkansas get back into this game because, this staff has done a good job of straightening the ship at Tennessee. I think that needs to be acknowledged. We've talked about how it can be a slippery slope if you start losing these games. So far, they're not losing games, which is the good thing. I think it's more akin to putting a ceiling on what this program can be in the Heupel era. I think more than anything, they're finding ways to win football games, which is good for now. But You do wonder about that in some of these bigger games, games like what you're going to see this weekend in Alabama in particular. So those are all the takeaways I had for this weekend. I know I had quite a bit there, but I did want to get some more positives in because I know I've harped a little bit on both defense and coaching problems that have presented themselves this season for Tennessee.
Yeah. And I'll say one thing about Tennessee's defense. What I noticed over the course of the season, and especially in the Arkansas game, is like they show glimpses, right? Like they give up a lot of yards from time to time. Like Arkansas started off the game just running all over Tennessee with Washington. But around the third quarter at one point, it seemed like Tennessee's defense started to get in the groove and they started getting momentum. And then all of that went away. And then it was back to like square one again. It seems like Tennessee's defense has potential to be really good. And like we've said, their pass rush is one of the best in the country right now. But it's just like keeping that momentum that seems to be the problem for Tennessee's defense. And I mean, Tennessee's going to have to play a really good team this weekend that can pass the ball really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can adapt to that. But there are some positive signs going into that game too that we can talk about here soon.
Yeah, I think so. And our boy Jackson is sitting backstage. I think we better add him in here. We'd love to talk to Jackson a little bit about the happenings from this past weekend. Jackson, how are you doing, my friend? Good to have you on the show.
Oh man, it's going very well. I mean, thank you for having me on, gentlemen.
Yeah, we're happy to do it. We're always happy to talk SEC football. Tennessee and Alabama, third Saturday of October. It's a very important week for us here in the Tennessee and Alabama channels on the Voice of College Football Network. One thing we always do, Jackson, during our shows is talk about everybody that Tennessee has played this year or will play this year, how they did each week. And we're looking up and down the schedule now. Of course, ETSU beat VMI 45-10. Neither of us watched that game. I'll be completely honest. You got this. You got this Georgia Auburn game, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, 20-10.
Oh, Jeffrey and I just did a little bit of our running our mouths on the Georgia Bulldogs a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting nasty down there in Auburn. Let me tell you, it's not good. They had a captain on that team, I think, end up leaving the program for whatever reason. Damari Alston.
Was that their running back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I saw my phone from On3 where the athletic director saying, like, oh, we're not going to fire Hugh Freeze. Like, what is it with everybody saying, we're not going to fire coach. Everything is fine. You know where it's like when you ask certain people if they're okay and they say, I'm fine. It's not fine.
No.
You're seeing that in North Carolina and you're seeing that in Auburn.
Yeah. No, and I wonder if Auburn's just like holding on to him because of what Hugh Freeze used to be. He beat Nick Saban at least once, I think, right? You'd know better than me, Jackson, but I know that he twice. Okay, I thought it may have been twice, but I mean,
2014 October 4th on CBS, and we got beat by Ole Miss in our own backyard in September 19th of 2015 on ESPN with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on the call.
Well, we're talking about like a decade, though. I don't know if Hugh Freeze has like been the same since everything's happened with like Ole Miss. Like I know he was at Liberty for a bit, right? And I think he had some success there with Malik Willis and everything. But I mean, I don't
know what I think it is, Jordan.
What?
They're trying to see if the same thing they did with Bruce Pearl will work with Hugh Freeze.
What, a succession plan?
Or no, just wait it out like they did with Bruce Pearl. The first 3 years sucked, but then year 4 or 5, things were rocking and rolling. Yeah, that's what they're hoping with Hugh Freeze, I think.
I have another theory that you guys have not mentioned yet, and that is the fact that they have all these 5-star recruits that they don't want to lose. They know that they've got talent there. It's just they got to get the quarterback position right. There have been a few positions that they got on that team that can be really good. They just haven't been good at the positions where they've needed to be to make the rest of the stuff go. Like the running backs they've had, the receivers they've had. The defense is very good. They've not given up over 22 points in a game this year because one of those scores in Oklahoma was a safety. So they've done a good job this year in SEC play. Defensively, that is. Offensively, they not look good. As for Georgia, the SEC officiating remains questionable. Ken Williamson putting on a real masterclass with that timeout. The no timeout call there, I guess you could say, from him to Kirby Smart. So thankfully, that had no impact on the game as Woodring missed the field goal following. But yeah, Georgia gets out of Auburn with the win. They've survived on the road and done a good job there. And now they have lost a home game already to Alabama. Who's to say it can't happen again? Just with the way the SEC is structured. But
if Ole Miss beats Georgia at home in Athens, it'll be the first time since 1996 that it happened. That was when Georgia was fighting for bowl eligibility that year, and that was also the first year where a college football regular season had overtime. Take notes, NFL.
And I knew that there was a pretty prolonged losing streak because it was basically then all the way up till 2016 where Kirby Smart was in his first year and Freeze was in his last year at Ole Miss where they just hammered them down there in Oxford. I remember that game. But,
God, Georgia got chewed up like a chicken.
Yeah, they sure did. They've not looked back since then though. They've had a very good run. But that's the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Again, did not watch a lick of this next game, but Jackson, I do want to ask you about it because you are our resident Alabamian here on the show. Florida Atlantic 53, UAB 33. Trent Dilfer fired down there in Birmingham. Have you seen any kind of UAB fan reaction?
One of the guys from Nets Round Live, I forgot his name, did an interview with Trent Dilfer. And Dilfer was saying some stuff about how college coaching is much easier than high school coaching because you don't have to do as much work. Yeah.
Shouldn't have said that.
Like, what a moron. Like, it's like you should have just gone back to your cushy job at ESPN. Honestly.
Well, it was crazy that he even got a head coaching job to begin with, considering like his only experience was high school coaching up until that point. Like he walked out of the studio at the ESPN, went straight into high school, and he did well there. Did very well.
Stayed.
Yeah, he should have stayed. But to say that college is easier than high school, I'm pretty sure any high school coach in the country would tell you that's not the case.
Yeah,
it's
like when people say that they're going into business so that they can have more time off. That's not how it works owning a business. You don't go thinking that you can just take off any day you want. That's not how you're going to make a business grow. That's a bad look right there when you're saying on an interview that, oh, well, college coaching is much easier because you don't have to do as much work. Yeah, okay, let's see how that works, buddy boy.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say plus two, like how many coaches have we heard of the NFL like say that they don't want to go to college football because they don't want to deal with the recruiting and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, like Bill Belichick going to North Carolina, all that stuff about where he said, oh, I love North Carolina. My dad was at North Carolina. That was a good PR story, first off. The only reason why he took that gig was just to go, screw it, I'll take anything. I'm sick of being at the house all the time.
Yeah, I get that vibe as well. And then the other thing too with Trent Dilfer that I was thinking of was that press conference where he had his grandkid up there. And he's like, "This isn't Alabama." That's not a good way to treat a job when you're trying to make your way into the head coaching ranks, potentially in the Power 4 level. So that's that. There's a good reason why he got fired. I don't think they did better than 4-8, maybe 5-7 there in his.
They went back to sucking like they did before Bill Clark. Honestly, when Bill Clark retired, what they should have done was made sure that he was part of the searching team, because I think he would have known who to get and who not to get for UAB.
All right, Jackson, this next one's for you. Alabama 27, Missouri 24.
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, because honestly, the defense was clutch. Ty Simpson made clutch throws. Like Kevin Riley stepped up in a huge way against the Missouri Tigers. I mean, you look at that 7-minute, 30-second mark in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 11, Justin Jefferson was moving on up, making that stop. And then the rest of that Alabama defense on 4th down, where Missouri was making a fake punt, the rest of that Bama defense was finally getting a piece of the pie, stopping them short of the 1st down. And some people were, if it had worked for Missouri, well, they were smart. A lot of people were like, that was a bad move. But I mean, the way I look at it, in the big games, you should always go for it, no matter with 5 minutes left in the game, 7 minutes left. I mean, what have you got to lose? You're going against the Alabama Crimson Tide. You're going up against like an Ohio State or somebody like that. Take your chances. Take your chances. What have you got to lose? I mean, people are going to call you. Let them. Don't move on to be mad about something else. That's just how it goes. And that clutch interception at the from Dijon Lee, humongous. And that's a guy that, and Tucker, you and I went with Rock and Rant on CFB Express. That's a guy to watch out for on defense. He's a key guy to look out for. No one's talking about him, but they will know his name after this season, and they very well should. And with this win, Alabama ends the second longest active winning home streak in college football. Missouri had it, and with Indiana beating Oregon, Oregon no longer has the longest active home winning streak. Alabama and Boise State both share that stat with 15 consecutive wins at home. Last time Alabama lost at home, of course, was in September 9th, 2023 against the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, and we don't think of that as a super long one just because of some of the things that people have built up over time with the win streaks. But it's an impressive win streak by Alabama. That's one of the things Kalen DeBoer has done really well. And then with Mizzou, too, it's just like I think Blake Topmeyer of USA Today put out an article earlier in the week leading up to that Bama game where it's just like pretty much all of Mizzou's SEC accomplishments are followed with "yeah, but," and it's kind of accurate if we're being honest. Like you look at the SEC East when Mizzou was good, Florida and Tennessee had down years in those years. Kentucky and Vanderbilt are going to be Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Arkansas had a lot of really down years in those years. South Carolina had some down seasons as well. Georgia only had 1 year where they got beat by Mizzou in that run, and back in 2013. That's the only time they've lost to
Mizzou.
That
was when they lost to Vanderbilt in that one.
Yeah.
And, they beat South Carolina.
Miracle Jordan Hare.
Yep, Miracle Jordan Hare. Vern Lundquist lost his throat for a little bit on November 16th, 2013. And
also lost by Clemson.
Oh, yeah. Week 1.
Do you have all this information on file, Jackson?
Yeah, it's a crazy memory here.
I remember watching those games.
Tucker's the score guy.
I remember a lot of them too. I do remember a lot of SEC football, but it only goes back to, 15 years, but that's just about as long as I've been watching. But good win for Alabama, and I'm sure we're going to discuss more about that game as we go on in the show. Just 2 more for us this week that are actually on the schedule. Texas beating Oklahoma 23-6. Defense reigned supreme in that game, as you would expect. Arch Manning, not an incredible game, at least statistically. They had a punt return touchdown in that game, too, I believe Texas did. 3 interceptions from John Mateer. You can chalk that up to him just not being 100%. I'm sure he's going to look better when he comes to Tennessee.
There we go. I mean, it's going to be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, you got A&M in Florida. A&M winning 34-17. Billy Napier cannot win big games on the road. It's tough for a lot of coaches to do it, but he's been there for 4 years now, and he's only got, 2 wins over 5 and 7 teams as his best wins on the road as an SEC football coach. That's not saying much.
Yeah, and I think he has a losing record too, if I'm not mistaken, like overall since he's been the head coach.
Yeah, that'd be right. not done well on the road. I think A&M is sneaky good right now, but I'm always hesitant with Texas A&M because there's going to be losses somewhere with the Aggies. So we'll find out as we go on through the season. Do have a little bonus round for you guys. UCLA 38, Michigan State 13. The Jerry Neuheisel effect is going crazy out there. Nico actually playing decent football now, which is not something I thought we'd see just 2 weeks ago, if we're being honest.
I know, right?
And then just one more. Northwestern 22, Penn State 21.
Oh,
The
James
third
Franklin
time
is
in
out.
school history that's happened in state college. The first 2 times were in 2004 and in 2014. And of course, the last time that Northwestern beat Penn State was on November 7th, 2015. Second year of the James Franklin era. How ironic.
God, it's an interesting decision by Penn State. And I think this is a conversation that we need to have just about the state of college football. Like, you're much closer to losing to the bad teams now than you realize. Like, there's no real dominant force.
Oregon broke them.
Yeah, they did. They sure did. And I think Penn State, in all honesty, they were going to have to move on from James Franklin sometime soon just because he'd been there 12 years. He's more akin to Mark Richt than some of these other coaches that you see that fail pretty quickly and get fired. But I'll say this. For every Mark Richt to Kirby Smart transition, you have plenty of Gus Malzahn to Harsin and Freeze and Fulmer to Derek Dooley and Butch Jones. I'm not even going to include Lane Kiffin in that conversation, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes that doesn't always work.
well, the thing is with like Penn State is I think there's such a national, like they're so nationally recognized that they're going to easily find a coach to come in. And like James Franklin, I mean, everything that he did at Vanderbilt, I mean, he overperformed like crazy there, like having back-to-back 9-win seasons. So, I mean, I've been disappointed in Penn State for a while, and I'm not even a Penn State fan. I can't imagine like how they feel, but I mean, there's some good coaching options that they can like choose from. I mean, what if they go get our old boy Alex Golesh from USF? I mean, that could be a really good hire.
Surprise me. I mean, like Alex Golesh, Matt Rule's a candidate. Fran Brown's a possibility.
Who's
Yeah.
Cincinnati's coach? Because I've been
Josh
keeping up.
Satterfield.
Okay, because their stats have been like they're number one in like a lot of categories. I've noticed.
Yeah, but that's for Brandon Sorsby, man. Like,
Yeah. I don't know if that one would work if it would be, because Satterfield they wanted him gone at Louisville. I don't really think
he was
he's
a
coaching his
I
way.
told
into
my
one of those
buddy
jobs.
Austin, where it was like my buddy Austin was like, call me on the phone. I was like, how's it gonna be with Jeff Brom? How's it gonna be with Jeff Brom? I thought you're gonna be very happy with the Jeff Brom era. You're gonna be very happy with it. Cincinnati's gonna be unhappy with Satterfield.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually. We just don't know when exactly. But yeah, they're throwing in a lot of big name candidates. I've seen Signetti's on the short list too. Golesh would make sense. That would be a pretty fun offense for them to run up there. Something that's not like the rest of the Big Ten. So that would be pretty intriguing if they were able to do such a thing. Bring a guy like that in. But who knows, that he could be coaching his way into some other SEC openings. Looking at you, Arkansas, Florida, Auburn, and Kentucky.
Oh, good grief! It's like,
yeah.
they're a mess.
You're gonna find some openings that these guys are going to take eventually. So, but that's all we got on the schedule this week. Just a quick look at the poll here. Tennessee up to number 11 with a 3-point win. That's kind of surprising. 55-point wins did less than 3-point wins over 2 and 4 teams, but here we are. Other notes here in the poll: Oregon and Oklahoma falling way down after their losses. Hey, I was critical of Indiana for a while. I'm no longer critical of them. They winning in Eugene, that has earned my respect. All right.
That's the first time in school history that they've won on the road against a top 5 opponent.
That's accurate.
Dang.
Yeah. They don't ever, well, they don't usually win in places like Ohio State or Michigan or even Penn State historically.
Penn State's getting the crud beat out of them by
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State, Eeyore is happier than Penn State, and he has a nail on his butt.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Homie is trying to build his house. Penn State can't even win a big one. I mean, they can't even beat UCLA or Northwestern.
No.
And they call themselves unrivaled. Yeah, your rivals Pittsburgh. They're like the main character of a rom-com that tries to show they don't care about the one they're in love with, but really deep down, they're just like messing around with all these people, doing the mess around to show they don't care. Oh, we love Rutgers. Oh, we love Ohio State. Oh, we love Maryland, Michigan State. When's the last time you ever heard anybody say, "Hey, you want to crack open a beer and watch Penn State, Michigan State"? Nobody has said that ever. People said, "Let's get drunk and watch Dan Marino and Todd Blackledge go at it" in 1981, but nobody ever said that ever.
No, not for 12-10 football games. We don't like that. Unless you just want to drink to forget it, in which case I would absolutely do that, especially those 10-9.
That's enough for you to pour out the alcohol where you're like drinking and you're like, Penn State, Michigan State.
Yeah, that's bad. Real bad.
And the thing is, like, winning 10 games and stuff is really good. Like, I would be happy with that if Tennessee won 10 games every year, but you better be beating your rivals on top of it, or I'm not going to be satisfied. Like, winning rivals is arguably as important to, like, even going to the playoffs, if not more so.
And that's the most important thing Josh Heupel has done is he's beaten both Bama and Florida. We're still working on Georgia, but it's getting closer. As of this year, it appears it's getting closer. Just a couple more poll notes before we move on to the matchup at hand. Some movement at the bottom of the AP poll this week. A lot of teams jumping in and falling out. Jumping in this week, you've got USC, Texas, Utah, Cincinnati, and Nebraska. Falling out, you've got Michigan, Illinois, Arizona State, Iowa State, and Florida State. Rough day for our boy TJ. His team took it on the chin out there at USC after Sharon Moore said that he expected a lot of Michigan fans to be in the stands.
But I will say, TJ Ronan, he's kind of like the Fred Astaire of college football content, and Manny Hunt is basically the Ginger Rogers of college football. You watch those little old movies of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing. Well, I'll tell you this: TJ Ronan and Manny Hunt may not be dancing, but they'll give you great content on college football on Michigan Mondays on Michigan at the Voice of College Football, which premiered today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time on Michigan at the Voice of College Football.
Yes, we love our boy TJ. Shout out TJ, even though you guys took a tough loss.
He's a magician of Michigan, I tell you what. And we call him the older brother of the Voice of College Football Network because he kind of is like an older brother.
Yeah, very entertaining too. He knows how to put a show together for sure.
Very entertaining, very nice guy, even though he pronounces vols. But that's just a Michigan thing and a Northern thing. We have to educate all the New Jersey kids that come to Tennessee how to properly say our beloved Volunteers nickname. But he's
a great guy to work with, I tell you what. And
absolutely.
And I would like to dedicate this show as well to our buddy Joey Foster, who built a lot of helped Mark Rogers build a lot of the channels and within the Voice College Football Network. Because I had a phone call with him last night, and his wife Vivette has 6 blockages in her heart.
Oh.
And she's having heart surgery, and I'd like for us to just kind of like, all of us here at the network tell Joey, hey, we're here for you, man. We've got you back. Because he's made a lot of us here at the network, just kind of like get rolling. Like he's helped numerous people like Mark Rogers and Uncle Lou and Golden Blue Dude, rest in peace, Golden Blue Dude, John Diemo and myself and a few others like George Bowman and Tiger Paul Craven, so much more. Like there's so many people who's helped out, and it's like I figure it's our turn to kind of let them know, hey, we got you back.
Absolutely. Thinking about Joey through that tough situation with his wife. All right. We got a big matchup to discuss. Yeah. We've got cigars on the line for Saturday. You've got Tennessee playing Alabama down there in Tuscaloosa. It is a night game.
Oh, man, which one of us is going to be like giving the boss a heads up Hey, heads up. There might be a cigar on the post-game show.
I think both of us are sandbagging a little bit, but yeah, we might have to give Chris and Mark a little heads up on that. Technically, you are the boss, Jackson, or one of the bosses, so you can make it happen if you really wanted to.
Well, I'll ask all the same. Or I'll ask, or I'll just give a heads up.
You have to understand it's part of the tradition. I think is the important thing. But
yep.
Yeah, so big matchup down there in Tuscaloosa, night game. You got Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy on the call.
Sean McDonough's calling this game for the second straight year.
Yeah, is it bad luck for Alabama?
Shout out to your guy Dan Harrelson from Balls Wire, man.
Yeah, Dan, big Dan Harrelson fan. We need to get him on the show at some point, probably here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, you got Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy on the call again. Tennessee has suspiciously not played very many night games against Alabama at home lately. And I saw this earlier, and I meant to mention, too, that the Tennessee-Kentucky game is a night kickoff. We knew that going into the season, but Tennessee is now one of two teams at risk of not playing a night game all season. I don't think that'll be the case, just with the Oklahoma game probably being a night game here in the next couple weeks. But Mississippi State, I know, is for sure not playing a night game this year. I know our buddy Andrew Miller from the Mississippi State channel has lamented about that, both to me and then on social media today, because Mississippi State, Texas was the game they were deciding between, and I think maybe Mizzou and Vandy and Texas and LSU were other games under consideration.
LSU.
Yeah. I get it. Mississippi State was not good last year, but come on. Why would you have to rob them of that environment?
Oh, man.
So,
insane.
But, so you got two coaches that grew up, within 2 hours of each other in the state of South Dakota? Heupel is from Aberdeen, if I'm not mistaken, Aberdeen, South Dakota. I forget where DeBoer is from exactly, but I've typed this in on the Apple Maps before. They're both from the northeastern side of South Dakota, very close to each other in geographic proximity, which is so fascinating because South Dakota is just not a state that you think about producing SEC football coaches. But they have indeed both come out of South Dakota.
True.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, I was just gonna say, all I know about South Dakota is Mount Rushmore. I don't think about anything with football, even though I know like South Dakota Jackrabbits have been kind of successful as of late.
The South Dakota State Jackrabbits are one of the most fun FCS teams out there. I want to say South Dakota's got a pretty decent FCS team too. I know that their capital is Pierre, and I know it's home to the Black Hills, and the Missouri River runs through there.
Hey, and Nicolas Cage, he did that little heist there in National Treasure too.
How about that? So, but funny that you have those two coaches from that part of the world coaching in what is one of the biggest rivalries in all of college football. But looking at this game, and I watched some Alabama highlights in preparation for this because unfortunately we weren't able to watch all of the Alabama-Georgia game just because we were post-gaming for Tennessee-Mississippi State. Did get to at least watch the second half, so I didn't get to see much of Bama's scores in that game. Did watch Bama-Vandy, was quad boxing that game with Florida, Texas, and Penn State, UCLA. Did, of course, get to watch most of Bama's game this past weekend. And I got to say, I think Ty Simpson is probably the most important piece to watch for Alabama in this game. Of course, he is Martin, Tennessee's own. And this is a guy that I know he's not quite as fast as him, but he's got some Bryce Young in his game. He's got that ability to move around in the backfield, create plays on the fly that were not there. He's in sync with his wide receivers. I think he's got better wide receivers than Bryce Young did that last season, especially with guys like Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, another Tennessee kid, by the way, from Oakland High School in Murfreesboro. But yeah, this is going to be a challenge for Tennessee at quarterback. And it saw a mobile one last week in Taylon Green. He's no Taylon Green. We'll just say that, but he can use his legs to hurt you. And that could be something that is somewhat problematic for Tennessee in this game.
I'll say something I noticed about Ty Simpson too is, I mean, I haven't got to see too much of him play this year, but the little that I have seen him, I mean, he can complete passes down the middle of the field, which I think that's a very important thing in offenses, and that's one thing I think Tennessee's gotten a little bit better on in this season. But I'm very impressed with how Ty Simpson's played, and quite concerned going into this game. I just hope that Tennessee doesn't I mean, considering his connection to Tennessee, because I know that he almost thought about going to play for the Vols. I'm just hoping that the fans don't pull any like Stetson Bennett shenanigans again and like somehow find out Ty Simpson's number or something, or just challenge him in a way to where he wants to shred Tennessee's defense, because we don't need to give Alabama any fuel to the fire.
I definitely know a guy with Ty Simpson's number, or two guys.
Let's lock that down. Lock that down.
I am not trying to use it. Not sure if I should say this. Did have Mac Jones's old number at one point in time. I know some people. I know some people that may or may not have done the Shadur Sanders thing to Mac Jones when he was getting drafted. He's in a much better place now, though. He's with the San Francisco 49ers. He's out of the Bill Belichick nonsense in New England. He's doing okay for the 49ers now, in Brock Purdy's stead, I think.
Like, I feel like anybody could win at the 49ers because it's like you got a great offense behind you. So
yeah,
that's a huge win.
It's a system thing. It's a system thing for sure. Kyle Shanahan's done a good job to where it's like you have these good players in your system, but you can fall back on some guys. And we're seeing it too with Tennessee guy and Jawan Jennings, who's just an absolute psychopath playing through 3 broken ribs and a couple of sprained ankles, something we should mention on this show. They don't make him like Jawan Jennings anymore. He was the guy that had to dig Tennessee out of the negative yardage hole it was in. Speaking of the third Saturday of October back in 2018, where they had negative however many yards in the first quarter. So they had to dig their way out of that to just try and have some semblance of an offense in that game. I was there. It was terrible for Tennessee. Vols lost 58-21 with Jeremy Pruitt, Mr. Cornbread, at the helm for Tennessee. So not good stuff there, but Tennessee's well past those days. Although I do know, what's his name? Niedermeyer? Is it Brian Niedermeyer, who is down there in Tuscaloosa County as a head coach now? I'm fairly certain he got a job down there.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. And he was one of the big bagmen involved in that scandal. So that's Georgia and Alabama that have both committed espionage on Tennessee. Georgia with Derek Dooley, Alabama with Jeremy Pruitt. But now he's serving that show cause down there in Rainsville.
I think like Jeremy Pruitt's having like a Kenny Powers reboot or something, being a middle school gym coach or something.
That's about right.
Oh, I forgot about that. For some reason, I was still thinking he was with the Giants. I remember seeing that a little while back. Yeah, that's interesting.
He's like, all right, I got one more for you, timid kid. My dad said you ruined college football. You know what? I don't like you. And I got a feeling I'm not going to like you no matter how many pull-ups or push-ups you do. So anybody there's anything in class, aim for him because I ain't watching.
Well, you best believe you can't be like one of those kids like sitting in the corner of gym class if Jeremy Pruitt's your PE coach.
Oh, God.
There ain't no way. You're going to be running that pacer all day long.
No, it's that video of Two-A-Days, the MTV show that goes around of him where he's yelling at the kid right before he it cuts to him eating at that steak restaurant and not knowing what asparagus is.
A grown man doesn't know what asparagus is.
Yeah, no, you watch the video. He's just like, "What is that?" And then he somebody says asparagus because it was on his little SEC network. One of those graphics that they had for media days in 2019. And it just said, did not know what asparagus was. I don't think this was AI either. I think this was genuine. So,
wow.
Yeah, that some real high.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that guy as your head coach.
Yeah. No, that's a guy that I think was probably a what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought for a second.
He was a complete imbecile.
Yes, that's why he was sent up there. No, he was sent up there because all these Bama crazies want retribution over Philip Fulmer having a winning record against them. They tried to sue him. Which, by the way, did you see that he's up for an award that could be presented in Tuscaloosa this weekend?
Phil Fulmer?
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm gonna have to pull it up again. My other boss, Dan Harrelson, shout out Balls Wire, had this earlier today with what's his name? Philip Fulmer is selected as a recipient of the Paul Bear Bryant Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, man.
Jackson hates Philip Fulmer. He hates.
I
Philip
don't
Fulmer.
but I disliked the '90s very much.
Yeah. So, but he could potentially be honored down there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's like it's fun. But I will say, the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry was a lot of fun in the '90s, and it's back to being fun in the 2020s.
Yeah, you needed that for sure.
I mean, because it was like, even though I hated losing and seeing Bama lose 2022, I was like, you know what? It's gonna wake people up. The Alabama-Tennessee is back to being the awesome rivalry that it is. Because like all those people that were saying, "Oh, Alabama-Tennessee's not a rivalry," that's the same crap I heard about Oregon-Washington. Oregon-Washington's not a rivalry, but that Washington ended the losing streak in 2016. That's when people were like, "Okay, well, Oregon-Washington's a really good rivalry." Oregon, Washington, Alabama, and Tennessee are very, very, very similar in that regard. And I mean, there's like so many memories of the Alabama Tennessee rivalry. Like you got from Robert Nealon to Bear Bryant to Gene Stallings to Phil Fulmer, and Kenny Stabler throwing that ball out of bounds on 4th down in 1965, making everybody so mad to the point that Bear Bryant kicked the locker room door off its hinges and scared the crap out of a sheriff. Tennessee knocking Alabama out of the national title race in 1966, basically with an Alabama 11-10 win, so to speak. And 1967, Tennessee ending a losing streak. 2002, Alabama ending a losing streak. 2022, Tennessee ending a losing streak. 2009, field goal block with the armpit.
There was a 6-3 game somewhere in there too. That Alabama won in Tuscaloosa.
2005 CBS.
That Terrence Cody block game, that was my first Tennessee Alabama game as a fan, and I was 10 years old, and all I can really remember after the game was like my dad consoling me because I was crying like a little baby because it was my first heartbreak in a long list of heartbreaks as a Tennessee fan.
Yeah. No, there was more crazy stuff that happened after that.
Oh yeah.
Two different things that happened the following season.
If Lane Kiffin had stayed at Tennessee, the amount of the last time we've had home uniforms on both teams was 1970, and
we need to bring that back.
And Tucker, you mentioned to me that Lane Kiffin won that, but Coach Saban didn't want that. It's like, look, I love Coach Saban, but come on, don't do that. I want to see both teams wear home uniforms every time they play one another. USC, UCLA do it. Why can't Alabama and Tennessee do it? Yeah. Alabama and Auburn did it, but I think the last time Alabama and Auburn did it was 1963.
I mean, fall colors on the 3rd Saturday of October. What gets any better than that? Yes. They definitely need to bring that back.
I'll say this too. Georgia and Florida did it for a while, but I think Georgia was tired of losing that they just changed it up and just started wearing white, and then they ran through Florida that year in 17, I think. So, but that was cool when it happened too. I like that matchup.
That explains why Jeffrey and I both really, I mean, now that's another reason for me to think the Georgia Bulldogs are turds.
Yeah. We don't exactly like the Georgia fans around here. The good news
I like the Georgia people at the Voice College Football. They're cool.
Oh, you like them. You like them, obviously. We all like them here, but
who doesn't? They're amazing.
But they are cursed against Alabama for some reason. It's kind of like what's happened with Tennessee.
Charlie Brown at the pitcher's mound.
Yep. It's bad. It's bad what's happened to them against Bama. But you know what? Somebody's got to keep them humble. Bama might as well do it, even though they're not dominant anymore like they once were. But one thing I do want to mention in regard to the matchup, getting back to it here, both teams offensively had a running back go down in their games on Saturday. Tennessee actually got some very good news in regard to that today. It's more of a hint than anything, but Josh Heupel is notorious for not commenting on injuries when in media availability settings. He said, we anticipate Deshaun Bishop will play. And that was after a pretty nasty-looking hip drop tackle earlier in the game in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good news for Tennessee. However, Alabama has some not-so-good news on that front with the running backs. J.M. Miller, Jackson, you mentioned it to me, went into concussion protocol. I looked back at those highlights, and I saw the replay of that, and I was just like, oh, he took a hit right in the head, and the trainers were all over him within seconds. That's never something you want to see, especially with a team like Alabama who's had a little more success lately on the ground as a result of having J.M. Miller back.
Well, and, I don't expect to see him back this Saturday. So I think we'll see Kevin Riley come in. I think we're going to see Daniel Hill come in and Richard Young come in. Because it's like I mentioned on Alabama with the Voice of College Football earlier tonight. He busted his tail for us. We'll bust our tails for him.
Yeah, and I think you're going to need that. And it's kind of a matchup of two things that have not exactly been strengths for either team. Bama's run offense has not been overly potent. It's gotten better with J.M. Miller, but with J.M. Miller being out, that could, weaken some things a little bit unless, you're going to hand the ball off to Caden Proctor 9 times a game, in which case that might change things. But no, you look at this from the Tennessee side, they have not been able to defend the run very well for most of the season. Jordan and I were talking about it in our takeaways from the matchup this past weekend, but the Georgia game was Tennessee's best defense against the run, 198 yards allowed, which is not good in SEC play, that is. So, and then you look at points allowed too, and it's just through 3 SEC games. Tennessee's already given up over 100 points, which is by far the most of any team in the league. Georgia's at least played 4 games. I think they're second with 89, but they've at least played 4 SEC games to this point. Tennessee's played fewer. Which is not a good sign, especially with a guy like Ty Simpson, who can do some damage. And Alabama to this point has not put up crazy numbers on the offensive end, but you give it an opportunity against a defense that has been suspect a lot of the season, a defense without 2 of its best corners going against 3 pretty solid wide receivers. That could cause that defense some trouble.
True. That is true.
But looking around, Jackson, what on the defensive end do you think Alabama can do to kind of slow down Tennessee's offense?
I think we need to make sure we put tons of pressure on Aguilar. We do that, we're good to go. Make sure Justin Jefferson keeps moving on up. Just make sure he does that. I'm going to miss him when he leaves Alabama because then I can't make any more Jefferson's references.
Oh. No, that's not good. It's so funny to see Alabama with a linebacker named Justin Jefferson too. After having seen LSU with a wide receiver named Justin Jefferson, it always kind of messes with my brain a little bit. But that's one thing that teams have not done well against Tennessee. Actually, is keep teams behind the chains, which is something that Alabama will need to do in this game, like you mentioned. But we've had a sack counter going on our show, Jackson. On the Tennessee show, and it's not gone well for the opponents so far. And at least in real time, Mississippi State got to Aguilar, got a sack in that game or 2. I'm forgetting. I know for sure they had at least 1 sack. They called a grounding a sack in that game against Georgia, so I don't really count that as a sack. And the 1 sack that UAB had on Tennessee was with Jake Merklinger in the game. So you've not had any sack on the ones this season allowed by Tennessee outside of one game against Mississippi State. You didn't see it this past weekend either. And this is an offensive line that has not really been healthy all season. David Sanders, we don't know if he will start this weekend. He was available last weekend, but did not play much to my knowledge. So I think that's something that, yes, Alabama is striving to do, but they may have a tough time doing it, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, and like Tennessee, they're number 2 right now in the country for tackles for a loss allowed, and they're tied for 8th right now in sacks allowed with only 4. So I mean, that's, you know, how much I've been praising the offensive line all this season. I mean, Tennessee's offensive line is probably going to be pretty key in this game as well. And then I'm seeing here that Alabama, they have the 93rd ranked rushing defense in the country. So I wonder how much Deshaun Bishop is going to play a factor in this game, considering that, because I almost imagine that Tennessee is going to run the football or play similarly how they did to Arkansas, considering what I'm seeing here by some of Alabama's defensive statistics. But I haven't watched Alabama's defense play as much as you, Jackson. How do you think Alabama's defense fares against Tennessee?
I think they're gonna be more than prepared. They're gonna be ready to rock and roll. It's gonna be like what they were doing against Bo Pribula, Diego Pavia, and Gunnar Stockton in that running game. They're gonna be ready to roll. And I think one of the keys to this game is time of possession. What has been going on with clock management for the Volunteers? Because like you and I talked about it, Tucker, where everybody talks about with Tennessee, Georgia. But you talked about notably with Mississippi State and Arkansas, where that's been a problem. That has been a problem for the Volunteers. And I feel like that can get the Volunteers. But if they take care of it, just be like, okay, we're going to get better at clock management. Guess what? They can have a shot against the Alabama Crimson Tide, possibly get a victory against them for the first time since 2003.
I don't think it's an overly difficult thing to overcome, which is bizarre, but they haven't been able to this year in some of these big situations. And again, it's something that I think it is closer to just putting a cap on what Tennessee can do than to getting Josh Heupel fired in 4 or 5 years. But it's concerning at the moment. Jackson does have to jump off here in just a second, so we're going to go ahead and get our score predictions in. Jackson, do you have one?
I do. I've got Alabama win this one 28-24. I feel like it's going to be interesting to see what happens with clock management once again. And I think you're going to see Aguilar have a huge game against the Crimson Tide. And I think you're going to see some clutch throws from Ty Simpson right there.
I do too. Jordan?
Man, I mean, I was saying on the show or multiple times on the show throughout the year that I thought that Tennessee was going to finally end the streak against Alabama. I've had a little bit of second thoughts as of late because, I mean, it's been since 2003 since Tennessee's won there, as Jackson said. But I'm thinking that Tennessee loses 38-35. I've changed my mind. After seeing how Ty Simpson's played and some other things. And I just know the clock management being an issue. And then plus with the trend with Josh Heupel, you win one year, you lose the next one. So Tennessee, if the trend continues, I think that, Tennessee loses, unfortunately. But you never know. I mean, like I said, Tennessee's got they did good with their running attack last week. If they can replicate that again, I think Tennessee's got a good chance. But I think Alabama's fans are probably going to be going wild for this game, and it's gonna cause some problems.
You know what's crazy, Jordan, is I'm not even BSing you or anything. I had that exact same score prediction
really
just now. Because here's the thing, Tennessee. I think Tennessee can put up some points on this Alabama defense. I really do. If you can put up points on a Georgia defense like Tennessee did earlier this season, you can put up points on anybody. I'm just going to say it. That said, I don't know what is in store for the defense in this game. Can they get after Ty Simpson? Probably. Will they make enough big plays to get stops both in the run game and against the pass? That's kind of where I'm starting to have questions. I don't want to say clock management and situational football will be a problem again. It's not something I want to be a problem again, but it could happen again. But no, I think Alabama wins, probably a close one. And you know what? We've just created the cursed graphic, so that, of course, means Tennessee is going to get a win in Tuscaloosa.
We've done it.
Yeah, we've created the cursed graphic here on Tennessee Volunteers Live. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in tonight here on the show. Special shout out to our special guest, Jackson Johnson, at Jackson VOCFB on Twitter. He is everywhere, as you can tell. He knows everything about everyone in college football, sports in general. Jackson, did you know that 4 of the Titans' 7 head coaches were named Mike in some capacity?
Yes, they were.
Yes, they were. And that's something that may have brought back some trauma for you as an Alabama fan with the Mikes.
Yeah. Sheila, man, like that was depressing. But DeBose, I mean, that dude is stupid. I've got nothing nice to say about DeBose. You never learned the definition of keep your hands to yourself.
No.
But if you want some top-notch awesomeness from some Tennessee Volunteers, Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley are those guys for you. All right here on Tennessee Volunteers Live, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Tennessee at the Voice of College Football. Let's get these gentlemen to 1,000 subs, then the 5,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. And also check out the magic that Tucker Harlan creates on Balls Wire, where he's got some recruiting insight in the world of Tennessee Volunteers.
Yep. We got plenty more recruiting news rolling along out for you this week. We do have some, offers that have come in that are of interest here for us. So I will post those as quickly as I can. Reminder to everybody, we will be on Jackson's show, Alabama Primetime, tomorrow night on the Voice of College Football at 6:30 Central Time. So be sure to tune into that. We'll talk more about this, especially you Bama fans that are hate watching us right now. So
these guys are cool. Don't worry. These guys are cool. Don't worry.
Oh, no. There's a lot of mutual respect between Tennessee and Alabama fans here of late. I think that is at least a thing that is good about this, as opposed to, say, Tennessee and Florida fans. Florida fans are brutal human beings to some of us. So, but we do have a little more respect for our neighbors to the direct south of us as opposed to Florida. But fun show as always here on Tennessee Volunteers Live. We appreciate all you guys for sticking with us. Again, we are live every Monday at 8 Eastern Time. Please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football, like Jackson told you to already. We appreciate you guys sticking around with us. Helps you get close to all the great Tennessee football content that you enjoy. And we will talk to you guys again after the game, which will be, what is that, 10 or 11 on Saturday, once Jordan is back from his wedding.
Yeah,
that
I don't know if you knew about that, Jackson.
It's not his wedding, but he has a fall wedding that he's attending, Jackson.
Oh, Lord.
Yep, I got roped into my girlfriend's best friend's wedding, and since she went with me to Tampa for my best friend's wedding, I owe it to her to go with her as well, unfortunately. But I'm still going to be watching the game. I already talked to her friend. She said AirPods are allowed. She doesn't care. She just wants me to be there, but I might try to dip out quick.
Jordan, I do need to butt in. Does the groom have a rooting interest in college football?
Not that I know of, but I've heard that there's family members there that are interested in college football. So I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one that's going to have some headphones in during that wedding.
No fault ways, man. Like, oh man, it's like
the worst, literally the worst game too. Unless Tennessee goes to a national championship or something, but like can't get much worse than the Alabama game.
I can deal with January weddings as long as they're not on Mondays and Saturdays if my team happens to be playing then. But that doesn't happen.
Always spring and summer weddings for me. It's like somebody's asked me to go to a fall wedding. It's like, no,
we don't like those here. Well, that's good.
They got to guarantee TVs for me if that case.
Yes, you must guarantee a TV to somebody, or else you are going to get yourself in trouble with all your guests.
But I will be seeing y'all soon. Y'all stay safe, stay cool, stay away
Yeah.
from the heat, or in this case, stay warm. It's cold out.
Yep.
Yeah. And thanks for coming on, man. It's always a blast talking to you, and I'm excited for tomorrow.
Thank you for having me on. I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow.
Well, once again, for Jackson Johnson and Jordan Bankley, I am Tucker Harlan. We'll see you guys late Saturday night.
Stay tuned.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.